We're going to talk about those feelings that leaders often bury, the ones where we're not supposed to say out loud. And of course, we're going to explore how to not just survive change, but thrive in it. In today's evolving landscape, leaders are confronted with a myriad of challenges that are testing their ability, their adaptability, and their resilience. The rapid advancement of technology, particularly AI, is reshaping industries at an unprecedented pace. Navigating DEI was really tough. Now even more so, amplified by things we've seen in places like the US and Trump's new policy, DEI initiatives have become increasingly complex. Then you've got macroeconomic volatility, you've got inflation, you've got geopolitical conflicts, and then you got workplace culture and behavior. Change is hard. And for leaders, it is not just hard, it can also be lonely. The aligned framework. It's an approach that allows you to address the complexities of modern leadership. You have assess. L is for leveraging diverse perspectives, implementing incremental changes. The G is for generating momentum through quick wins. That N is around nurturing a culture of continuous learning. As leaders, we have a choice to resist the fire or to rise from it. Change is the only constant in life, right? But here's the thing, just because it's constant doesn't mean it is easy. And as leaders, that statement is even more important. So a lot of times as a leader with a title, you're expected to be calm in the storm. You're expected to be the steady hand that is guiding your team through uncertainty. But what happens when you're the one that's feeling the ground shift beneath your feet? When the pressure to have it all together feels like a weight that you can't carry. See, it's so easy to focus on the title and forget the human behind the title. This is something that I talk to my clients about and I help them to navigate through. It's something I have definitely experienced as a leader in this space. And that is why today, in a world that is changing and shifting so quickly, I felt it's only right that we dive into the messy, emotional, and the human side of change. We're going to talk about those feelings that leaders often bury, the ones where we're not supposed to say out loud. And of course, we're going to explore how to not just survive change, but thrive in it. Because it might not feel like it right now, but trust me, it is possible to survive in it for you and for your team. Welcome to Everyday Leadership. So, whether you are navigating a major organizational shift, a personal transformation, or just I'm going to call it the everyday chaos of leadership, this episode is for you. Let's start with the truth. Change is hard. There is no denying that. And there's some people, trust me, who try and deny that and just say, get on with it. I'm going to be real right now. Change is hard. And for leaders, it is not just hard. It can also be lonely. You know that feeling? You're in a room full of people, but no one really knows what's going on inside your head. I mean, sometimes they don't even care. You have doubts, you have fears, you have the pressure to have all the answers, even when you are just as uncertain as everyone else. I remember a number of years ago, I was working on one of the big tech companies and the Ukraine war started and leaders were just scrambling. First off, because it's a Canadian-based organization, they didn't even know what was really happening. And they were like, should we react, should we not react? And they were just kind of going back and forth. Us who were here based in Europe with a team of a couple of thousand people, both in Ukraine and Russia, we had to react and deal with it. And a lot of leaders were like, well, I don't know what to say. I don't have all the answers. And I kept on saying to them, in these times, it's not about having all the answers. You just have to show up for your people And then I created spaces for them as leaders so I could show up for them. This is the reality of it. You, as you're navigating change, as you're navigating what feels like chaos, you will have unspoken feelings as a leader during this time of change. Feelings of imposter syndrome. Am I even qualified to lead through this? You have feelings of failure or fear of failure, shall I say? What if I make the wrong call and everything falls apart? You might have some guilt. I'm so focused on my work because I still got deliveries, I've still got targets, I've still got P&L to look after. But my family also need me as well. You might have feelings of isolation. I talked about how lonely it can be. And you're asking yourself, who can I talk to about this? Who will understand what I'm going through? And fundamentally, again, who will care? Because that's what it comes down to. Do any of these points sound familiar? Well, you're not alone. These feelings are part of the human experience, especially in leadership. But here's the thing, naming them is the first step to overcoming them. And a lot of leaders do not name them. They just try and avoid them or try and brush over them. Name them. It is important. You might feel like the waves are crashing. You might feel like the wind is howling and your crew, your team, they're looking to you for direction. But here's the truth. You can't control the storm, but you can control how you navigate the storm. You start first by not ignoring the storm, but acknowledging the storm. Pretending it's not there would not make it go away. Saying to your team, this is tough, but we'll get through it together, is an amazing way to be able to navigate. Stirring with intention is important. You don't need to know the entire route. You don't need to have the full plan. You don't need to know what's happening in the future because you can't predict that. Just the next step. What are we doing? That's you focusing on what you can control. What's super important in times of change and chaos is also leaning on your crew, leaning on those around you, recognizing that you are not alone. You will have colleagues who are feeling this way. Getting together, like I said, I created that space for those group of leaders. Felt really important. And they could talk, they could share, they could be with each other. Delegate. You don't have to carry it all alone. Trust your team and ask them for help. Again, you might feel like as a leader, I should know X, Y, Z. As a leader, I should take on X, Y, Z. Dedicate to your team. In times when they're difficult, when times when things are changing, how you build a lot more trust with your team, not just in the short term or the long term, it's just asking for help. Because the storm is not going to last forever. But how you lead through it, that will define your legacy. In today's rapidly evolving landscape, leaders are confronted with a myriad of challenges that are testing their ability, their adaptability, and their resilience. And how you lead through it is key. I've spoken to clients who are dealing with things like technological change and AI. The rapid advancement of technology, particularly AI, is reshaping industries at an unprecedented pace. Great leaders must decide how to integrate AI into the operations, balancing innovation and ethical considerations, amongst other things. And that integration piece is not easy because you're also dealing with human beings who are the center of any tech that you bring in. How are they going to cope with it? That's one major area that clients are thinking about. Then you got DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and politics. Navigating DEI was really tough. Now even more so, amplified by things we've seen in places like the US and Trump's new policy, DEI initiatives have become increasingly complex. And when things get complex, they get messy. The announcements, for example, in the US have been shambolic in the sense of how they've been rolled out. There are days when people are like, have I got a job? Have I not got a job? Am I doing this? Am I not? So there is just an insane amount of noise and chaos. But yet you as a leader still have to foster an inclusive environment. You still have to be able to create a team, a culture, an environment where all the diverse viewpoints are heard. You have to figure out how to navigate through with your values still intact, regardless of where you sit politically. Then you've got macroeconomic volatility, you've got inflation, you've got geopolitical conflicts, economic instability. All these different elements of stuff are just creating like rising inflation rates. If you have rising inflation rates, you have people who are not happy because they want more money, which has knock-on effects. You have geopolitical tensions where we've seen things in, for example, between Palestine and Israel, Russia and Ukraine, other parts of Africa where there's war happening. All of this is disrupting business operations. Leaders need to be agile to make strategic decisions that safeguard their organizations against these external shocks as much as possible, because you can't plan for everything. You still have black swan events happening. And then you got workplace culture and behavior. Whether we like it or not, the modern workplace has evolved. It has changed. Flexibility, remote working is here to stay. And this year in particular, that one has a bigger emphasis, because on one side you're saying people who like everyone is coming to work 5 days a week. If you're not serious, and leave. On the other side, you've just got recently in the UK, I think like 200,000 companies or whatever, or employees just signed into working 4-day weeks. So depending on what you're looking at things, it's not that straightforward. But as a leader, you must cultivate a culture that embraces these changes while recognizing and maintaining your productivity and your cohesion. I don't always buy into what P. Drucker says. There's a lot of things he says I don't enjoy, I don't agree with. But I'll say this. When he said, the greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence, it's to act with yesterday's logic, I completely agree with him. What got you here would not get you there. And if you keep on leaning into that old way of thinking, you're going to crash and burn. And that's not what you want as a leader. See, this insight underscores the necessity for leaders to evolve their thinking, evolve their strategies, evolve their mindsets, have a mindset shift in response to changing circumstances. It's not merely the change itself that poses challenges, but often the way it's communicated and implemented. Inconsistencies, lack of transparency, and failure to consider diverse perspectives can hinder successful transformation. I have run transformation projects. I've generated over $1 billion plus for my clients in transformation projects. I know what it takes. I know how important communication is. I know how a lack of transparency and inconsistencies, I can't say the word properly, can cost you a lot of money, but more importantly, it can lose trust. And it can make implementations a lot harder than they need to be. So to effectively manage change, I'm going to be nice. The framework I use with clients that I've used personally when I've been in those spaces, that I now use with clients who are navigating change, and it is called the Align framework. It's an approach that allows you to address the complexities of modern leadership. Now, in that Align, you have assess. Assess the landscape. Begin by thoroughly understanding the current environment. Even though the environment might be changing, there's still some things that are not. And we can easily focus on the things that are changing rather than things that are staying the same. What are the things that I can hold on to? What are the anchors? You evaluate those internal and external factors. You include the market trends that you have access to, technological advancement, and cultural dynamics. Do not ignore that part. That is key. This comprehensive assessment lays the foundation for you and your group of other leaders to make better informed decisions. L is for leveraging diverse perspectives. Now, I said before, don't ignore cultural dynamics. Leveraging diverse perspectives is important. In this way, you are engaging a broad spectrum of stakeholders, from your team members to your global partners to other people in other countries, in other organizations. You'll be surprised that can really help you to think through things. You don't know what going through it. When you embrace diverse viewpoints, this fosters innovation and ensures that strategies are culturally sensitive, and globally relevant. Culturally sensitive and globally relevant. Then you now go to I, implementing incremental changes. This is not about the big bang. Instead of overhauling systems abruptly, which we have seen companies do and some people pay for it, introduce changes in manageable increments. This approach allows for real-time feedback, which is key. It minimizes resistance, which is also key and saves you a lot of money, and enables the organization to adapt progressively. Okay? Now, the G is for generating momentum through quick wins. Whether we like it or not, people like quick wins. That's why you have tasks where people have a to-do list, something easy to do in the morning, and they get that dopamine rush, and then they can go on to do the harder things. We like quick wins. It is helpful. Identify and execute these initiatives as quickly as possible. They help give that chemical boost internally with the positive outcomes. And then you celebrate these quick wins to build confidence, to demonstrate the benefits of change, and to motivate the team. This motivation is important to lay that foundation so they can embrace further transformations that you still need to go through. And last but not least, that N, it's around nurturing a culture of continuous learning. This is where you begin to cultivate an environment where learning is continuous, learning is adaptable, and the adaptability, you value it. In the past, adaptability has not always been valued by organizations, but you are going to value adaptability. Because when you do that, this encourages experimentation, you reward innovation, and you create an environment where setbacks are learning opportunities. Again, this is important, especially when it comes to transformation, when it comes to tech, full stop. You need to have this environment, you need to have this foundation and core pillars to ensure that new tech is embraced well. So these cultures, they help you to ensure your organization remains agile. And that is key. Remember, leadership is not about having all the answers. Lord knows how many times things have gone wrong when I worked during the recession. People coming to me for answers because I worked in finance. I didn't have answers, but I was like, we're trying to figure things out. The times when I have things to tell them, I'll tell them. And the times when I did, I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't have the answers. I wish I did. But I didn't lie to them. I utilized that period to build trust. We saw it happen during the pandemic. You have the blueprint of how to navigate change. Don't forget it. Leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about creating a space where your team feels safe to explore the question together. I'll leave you with this. In mythology, the phoenix is a bird that rises from its own ashes. It's a powerful symbol of transformation, which is why I like to talk about it a lot, because a lot of why I want to talk about transformation. It's a powerful symbol of transformation, of finding strength in the midst of destruction. Change can feel like fire. It burns away the old, the familiar, the comfortable. But from those ashes, something new can and will emerge. As leaders, we have a choice to resist the fire or to rise from it, to cling onto the past, which feels so comfortable but doesn't get you to where you want to go, or you can embrace the possibilities of the future. So, next time you're in the midst of change, which I'm sure you're going through right now, ask yourself, what kind of leader do I want to be on the other side of this? What kind of team do I want to build on the other side of this? The answers might surprise you. Change is hard, but it's also where growth happens, it's where innovation is born, and it's where leaders are made. If you're feeling the weight of change right now, know this: you're not alone, and you're stronger than you think. You can handle it with help and support. Thank you for joining me on today's episode. If the episode resonated with you, share with a fellow leader who might need it. Don't forget to subscribe for more insights on leadership, mindset, and transformation. And if you want to partner on this journey, reach out to us, www.mindsetshift.co.uk, and we'll help you navigate. This is Everyday Leadership. We will see you next week.